Hello everyone, this is Grade 1, Module 3, Lesson 12 homework. The directions say the class has 18 students. On Friday, 9 students wore sneakers, 6 students wore sandals, and 3 students wore boots. Use squares with no gaps or overlaps to organize the data. Line up your squares carefully. So I see that off to the side, or just down below here, we have shoes worn on Friday, but the number of students is going to be one box. And I have that represented with my red boxes here to the right. So I'll slide down a little bit. And I see that I have 9 students wore sneakers. So I'm going to slide 9 boxes over, and I have to remember, I'm going to put it right on this line here, but I have to remember that there's no gaps or overlaps in this. And I'm going to slide my paper back to get it right there. So there's my 9 boxes to represent my 9 students who wore sneakers, because 1 box equals 1 student, and I see that in my key. So now I'm going to do the same thing with 6 students who wore sandals. So I'm going to try to match this up just like that on the same starting point or the same end point, and I'm going to put all of my 6 over. So there's my 6 for sandals representing 6 students, because 1 box equals 1 student. So now I'll do the last one, which is 3 students wore boots. And again, I'm going to slide this all the way over to my starting point right there, or my end point, and I'll get the other ones put in. So now all of my boxes are in, and I can kind of see a nice little chart going here. So I'm going to slide down, and we're going to answer some questions on this. The first question says, how many more students wore sneakers than sandals? So if I look up here for sneakers, I know that in my statement it said that there were 9. So I have 9, and I'll put that out there. And sandals were 6, and I'll just fill in the boots with 3. So I'm looking for sneakers to sandals. So I have 9 and 6, and I know that the difference of those is 3. So 3 more students wore sneakers than sandals. Just down below that, number 2 says, write a number sentence to tell how many students were asked about their shoes on Friday. So a number sentence, meaning I'm going to have an equal sign in there, and I'm going to have some operations. And we're looking at how many students were asked about their shoes on Friday. I know that there were 9 who said sneakers, 6 that said sandals, and 3 that said boots. And if I want to find how many total were asked, I'll add those up, and I'm going to get 18. Up here we do have the class has 18 students, but in order to write a number sentence, we have to figure out how do we know that there were 18, and that's how we add 9, 6, and 3. The last one, write a number sentence to show how many fewer students wore boots than sneakers. So I'm looking at sneakers and boots, and I know that there are 9 that wore sneakers, and I know that there were 3 that had boots. So I want to find out how many fewer. I'm going to subtract those out to show the difference, which is 6. Let's take a look at page 2. So on page 2, we see the directions up above. Our school garden has been growing for 2 months. The graph below shows the number of each vegetable that have been harvested so far. And I see the big part here is my key. One of those smiley faces equals 1 vegetable. So the best thing, or the thing that I always tend to do, is I tend to count and write my numbers down below to help me a little bit better. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4 beets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Carrots. 1, 2, 3 for corn. So that helps me out just identifying what those mean. Luckily, it's just one vegetable for each one. If it were two, I would have to adjust my numbers, but this is telling me at the bottom what the numbers are for it. So if I look at how many total vegetables were harvested, I know that if I'm looking for the total, I'm looking for all of the vegetables. So I would add those three values up to get 14 vegetables. Question 5 says, which vegetable has been harvested the most? And I can look at this by looking for the highest number down below, or I can look at it to see which one from this starting point up here stretches the furthest. And I can see that carrots have been harvested the most. Number 6 says, how many more beets were harvested than corn? I can do two things here. I can take my number 4 and 3, and I can subtract those to get 1, because I'm looking at beets and corn. Or I can match up and say that they each have 1, they each have 2, they each have 3, but there's 1 extra beet. So 1 more beets than corn. And the last question, how many more beets would need to be harvested to make the same amount as the number of carrots? So I'm looking at beets to carrots. So I could do one of two things. I could find the difference of these, and I'll do it in a different color, which is 7 and 4, to find that I need 3 more to make them equal, or I can match up. And I see 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's 3 more of these, so I would need to get 3 more beets, or harvest 3 more beets to equal the number of carrots. That's why we use a starting point or an end point up here like this, and we use the same size units to represent them so we can match up and compare. So down here it says how many more beets would be needed. I can either type that out, or I can state my answer that there would need to be 3 more beets harvested in order to equal the number of carrots. And there's my statement there of 3 more beets would need to be harvested to have the same amount of carrots. Hope this helps, and good luck on your homework.